Crossed a line. After 12 years, I left a voicemail for my cheating ex. I feel disgusting and terrified I'll go further. Despite my perfect marriage, the thrill of my past still haunts me. Can I regain my faithfulness or have I already shattered my husband's world? My husband, 38 years old, is perfect. There is nothing wrong with him. Surprisingly, there is nothing I complain about. A few years before we met 11 years ago, I was involved with an older man, perhaps 15 to 20 years my senior. It was the best sexual experience of my life and I still think about it to this day. I did not realize he was married at the time. He informed everyone that he was divorced. I was young and naive and took him at his word. Upon discovering that he had lied, I immediately cut off all communication with him, and miraculously, my now husband entered the picture. Our lives have been nearly perfect. We are a strong and solid couple. I take great pride in him. Today, I overstepped my boundaries and left a voicemail. This message is for XYZ. Please return my call. On his work phone. I did not include any other identifying information. We have not spoken in 12 years, and this is the first attempt I have made to reach out to him. To my knowledge, he has never tried to contact me again. I feel terrible, as though I have already crossed a significant boundary. I fear that if I were to see him again, I would not be able to control myself and might find myself throwing myself at him again, believing it would be like it was 12 years ago. I have been in denial, admitting that this is merely a fantasy in my mind. Nothing will ever come of it. It exists solely in my imagination. My foolish self has left a voicemail, and even though that may seem minor, I worry that if I have done that, I may not be able to stop myself from going further. I am frightened by my actions because, until a few days ago, I could never have imagined being the kind of person to cheat. I feel like that despicable cheater that everyone despises, and I believe I deserve it. How can I find a way to reconcile this situation? I have justified my lustful thoughts by saying, oh, it's the new psychiatric medications, or oh, my father was a cheater and I did not have a good role model family like my husband's family. I am tired of making excuses and genuinely want to be 100% faithful to my husband. I cannot shake the thought that I have ruined my husband's life as well as the lives of others simply by leaving that voicemail. My foolish and lustful self still craves the sexual experiences from 12 years ago. All the justifications I have come up with are not legitimate. I am an adult and I am accountable for my own actions. I think perhaps the first step is writing this out as I have done. I have never shared any of this with anyone. I have kept it strictly bottled up inside my mind. Please help guide me, even though I undoubtedly do not deserve it. Edit to add, I recognize that I do not deserve anyone's forgiveness or kindness, neither from the internet, my husband, nor anyone else. I am terrified of myself for leaving that voicemail, as it demonstrates that at my core I would go further if given the chance. I do not want that. One comment compared this situation to that of a drug addict, saying that someone who has been sober for 10 years may relapse when faced with temptation. I do not want to be an addict. Another commenter suggested that I write daily about the things I love about my husband. Reflecting on that, and the reasons we got married only fills me with more shame about what I have done today. It reminds me that there were many reasons we came together and many more reasons we have stayed together. I have scheduled an appointment with my psychiatrist for tomorrow morning. I plan to discuss with the psychiatrist how to communicate this to my husband and work through it without destroying his life. Yes, I recognize that I am a terrible person. I deserve much of the disdain that has been directed my way. That is no excuse. Comments with actionable suggestions would be appreciated. Edit to add too, I reached out to a former therapist and shared everything with her. There is no excuse or justification for my behavior. I feel overwhelmed, burnt out, stressed, and overcommitted to various activities. The therapist indicated that, considering my health history details I omitted in this Reddit post thinking they were irrelevant, the recent changes in medication may have resulted in a hormonal imbalance and/or insulin resistance. I have been so stressed that my other doctor suspects I might have irritable bowel syndrome. One significant source of stress for me is weight loss. My husband has previously made comments in good faith about my weight and his concerns for my health because of it. I acknowledge that I have taken his comments to heart and allowed them to torment my mind. I have let these insecurities consume me. Again, this is not a justification. I am admitting this deeper truth for the first time. There were several exes, but all except this one were mediocre, and I can barely remember their names after so long. This particular ex symbolizes a time in my life when I felt free of responsibility. He did not mind that I was overweight for the wrong reasons, as he was cheating on his wife. I was young and felt liberated. I have taken on too many responsibilities and have exhausted myself in my quest for acceptance, approval, and admiration from my husband and family. He represents an idealized version of that time where everything was perfect. I long to escape to that past because it was easier to manage. I have a scheduled appointment with my psychiatrist. The therapist I saw today is no longer practicing full-time, and she has referred me to another therapist, whom I am fully committed to seeing and working with. I have not disclosed any of today's events to my husband. He has been at work while I have remained at home. Story 2. Caught my boyfriend cheating just 4 months in, only to discover a year later that we were arguing was just a cover for him getting intimate with A. I thought you were special, he said, but both were lying. Now, he's singing sad songs while I thrive. Basically what the title indicated, but I did not find out until a year later. My now ex-boyfriend and I met on social media a few years ago. Early in the relationship, he attended a concert with a group of friends, enjoyed himself, and posted pictures and videos, etc. Remember this concert as the story progresses. One day we were on FaceTime and he was screen sharing his phone. He opened his iMessage and I noticed a female contact pinned next to my name. I found it odd because I had no idea who the contact was, but she had a heart emoji next to her name. Let us refer to her as A. He asserted that she was a very close friend of his, so I asked him to open the text conversation. He did, and I saw messages where he told her that she was special along with a variety of other things. That genuinely unsettled me, and I immediately informed him that I did not appreciate such conversations and that he needed to establish clearer boundaries. He agreed and said he would discuss it with her. Later that day, he told me he had spoken to her and she understood. As the weeks and months passed, I began to subconsciously monitor his interactions with her more than I normally would, and one day he received a phone call from her. I was on the phone with him when this occurred, so I suggested he call her back on his other device so I could hear their conversation. However, for some reason, I only managed to hear the first 2 minutes of their conversation before everything turned static. When he finished talking to her, I told him I did not hear anything that was said, and he informed me that she had called to confess her feelings for him but understood it would not lead anywhere, so they left it at that. I felt very disrespected and requested he call her back to clarify the status of their friendship. He called her again, but once more everything went static so I could not hear the conversation. I found that to be quite strange but eventually let it go. One day my male best friend and I were having a conversation, and I heard through the grapevine that he was somewhat in a talking stage with A, so I asked him about it. He told me it was not that serious and then proceeded to inquire about what was happening between A and my now ex-boyfriend. I essentially shared everything from the perspective of what my ex had been telling me, claiming she was the one pursuing him. My male best friend then informed me that I had actually told him the opposite, that my ex had been the one chasing her and even went so far as to tell her he loved her. I was furious. I confronted my ex immediately and insisted he call her to challenge her on whether everything she had claimed was a lie, as he was asserting. He did call her, but they essentially spent the call avoiding the topic. My ex, have I ever expressed that I had feelings for you? Do you recall what happened at the concert? My ex, for the most part. Laughs, let me call you back, hangs up. It continued like that for 3 calls until it eventually began yelling at my ex for gaslighting her, telling him to leave her alone. I was confused. What on earth happened at the concert? My ex denied everything and claimed he had no idea what she meant by that. I reached out to her to have a one-on-one conversation, but she did not respond. My male friend also was not receiving answers from her. Throughout all of this, my ex and I continued following each other on social media and would like each other's posts occasionally. I found that odd because if someone accused me of something I did not do, impacting my relationship, I would react very strongly, particularly if it were someone I considered a friend. My ex. He did not want any drama within the friend group they both belonged to, so he kept interacting with her. Eventually, tensions escalated and they ended up falling out over drama unrelated to this story. I thought that was the end until it began involving herself with another close friend of mine, let us refer to him as D. And D started frequenting places I also attended, and eventually she attempted to befriend me, which I found very strange. She would compliment me, attempt to laugh at my jokes, and even stated to D that she believed we would have made good friends if the situation with my ex had not occurred. So one day I told A to call me so we could talk. I essentially instructed her to tell me everything that happened, and she sent screenshots. She then claimed she was unaware that we were together because he had informed her that we were arguing and had essentially reverted to the talking stage. I found that hard to believe since he frequently posted about me on his page. Anyway, I asked her if they had engaged in sexual intercourse, and she did not respond but only stated they kissed and did other things that could lead to sex. That irritated me as it felt like she was protecting him. Months later, I spoke with D and confessed that even to that day, I still did not know what transpired between A and my ex. D then revealed to me that they had in fact had sex. Twice. He explained that I had confided in him about everything when they first began talking. I became furious and blocked A on all platforms because I felt I had genuinely given her the opportunity to come clean and see if I could befriend her, yet she just kept lying. I subsequently broke up with my ex and have ignored him since. He has posted song lyrics about how sorry he is, etc., for what he did. He has also stalked my Instagram and even accidentally liked a picture of my current boyfriend. But yes, that is the end of the story. Story 3. Caught my boyfriend cheating just 4 months in, but I only discovered the truth a year later. Have I ever said I had feelings for you? He asked, while the other woman laughed. Do you remember what happened at the concert? What secrets were hidden in that night? Basically what the title indicated, but I did not discover the truth until a year later. My now former boyfriend and I met on social media a few years ago. Early in our relationship, he attended a concert with a group of friends, had a great time, and posted pictures and videos, etc. Remember this concert as the story continues. One day we were on FaceTime and he shared his screen. When he opened his iMessage, I noticed a female contact pinned next to my name. I found this unusual as I had no knowledge of who this contact was, but she had a whole heart emoji beside her name. Let us refer to her as A. He claimed she was a very close friend, so I asked him to open the text conversation. He did, and I saw messages where he told her that she was special and a plethora of other things. This caught me off guard, and I immediately expressed my discomfort with such conversations and insisted he establish clearer boundaries. He agreed and said he would talk to her about it. Later that day, he informed me that he had spoken to her and she understood. As the weeks and months passed, I began to subconsciously monitor his interactions with her more than I normally would, and one day he received a phone call from her. I was on the phone with him at the time, so I suggested that he call her on his other device so I could hear what they had to discuss. However, I only managed to catch the first 2 minutes of the conversation before everything turned to static. When he finished his call with her, I told him I had not heard what was said. He explained that she had called to confess her feelings for him but understood that nothing would come of it, so they left it at that. I felt extremely disrespected and insisted he call her back to clarify the status of their friendship. He called her again, but once more everything turned to static, so I could not hear the discussion. I found this to be very strange but eventually let it go. One day my male best friend and I were talking, and I had heard through the grapevine that my ex was somewhat in a talking stage with A. I asked him about it, and he told me it was not that serious, then proceeded to ask me what was going on between A and my now former boyfriend. I shared with him everything from the perspective that my ex had conveyed to me, that she was the one pursuing him, etc. My male best friend then informed me that I had actually told him the opposite, my ex had been the one pursuing her, and had even gone so far as to confess his love for her. I was furious. I confronted him immediately and demanded he call her to confront her about the lies she had supposedly told. He did call her, but they primarily avoided the topic during the call. My ex, have I ever said I had feelings for you? Do you remember what happened at the concert? My ex, for the most part. A laughs, let me call you back, hangs up. This exchange happened 3 times until it eventually began yelling at my ex for gaslighting her and told him to leave her alone. I was perplexed. What on earth happened at the concert? My ex denied everything and claimed he had no idea what she meant by that. I reached out to A for a one-on-one conversation, but she did not respond. My male friend was also not getting any answers from her. Throughout all of this, my ex and I continued to follow each other on social media and liked each other's posts from time to time. I thought that was very strange. If someone accused me of doing something I did not do that was impacting my relationship, I would react strongly, especially if it were someone I considered a friend. But my ex, he did not want any drama from the friend group they both belonged to, so he continued to interact with her. Eventually, the situation reached a boiling point, and they ended up falling out over drama unrelated to this story. I thought that was the end until I began to pursue another close friend of mine, let's refer to him as D. And D started attending events that I would also go to, and eventually she attempted to befriend me, which I found quite odd. She would compliment me or laugh at my jokes, and even went so far as to tell D that she thought we would have made good friends if the situation with my ex had not occurred. So one day I asked A to call me so we could talk. I essentially urged her to tell me everything that transpired, and she sent screenshots https imgur, 76 rikni. Then she claimed she did not know we were together because he had told her we were arguing and had essentially reverted back to the talking stage. I found this hard to believe because he would frequently post about me on his page. Anyway, I asked her if they had engaged in sexual activity, but she did not respond directly. Instead, she stated that they kissed and engaged in other activities that could lead to sex. I became frustrated because it felt as if she was shielding him. Months later, I had a conversation with D and mentioned that I still, even to this day, did not know what had transpired between A and my ex. D then disclosed that they had sex. Twice. I had told him everything when they initially began talking. I became enraged and blocked A on all platforms because I felt that I had truly given her the chance to come clean and see if I could become friends with her again, and she just continued to lie. I then broke up with my ex and have since ignored him. He has posted song lyrics expressing how sorry he is for what he did, among other things. He has also stalked my Instagram and even accidentally liked a picture of my current boyfriend. But yes, that is the end of the story. Story 4. I never thought I'd be the one to say, I haven't had a head between my thighs in a while, but there I was, tangled in an affair with my friend's wife. After months of emotional support, a kiss snowballed into something I never intended. Is there any going back? Where to begin? I did not think I would find myself in this particular experience at all, but it culminated in a moment last night. This situation has been developing for several months. For a long time, I resisted and did not want to cross that line. Ever since early last year, I became close friends with my coworker and his wife. We all worked at the same place for a while. Anyway, last year, those two started having issues, and I was a friend to both of them. They were going through a rough patch, and it basically culminated in my friend wanting to be free to do what he wanted, how he wanted, and with whom he wanted while expecting his wife to just remain on the sidelines. Initially, I listened to my friend complain about his wife all the time at work. There was drama in the workplace because of him being a narcissistic man-child, but this story is not about that. He shared things with me that I should not have known, as I was threatened with dire consequences if his secrets were revealed. All I did was listen to him and tried my hardest to reason with him as his friend and someone who wanted to maintain peace. Over the past 14 months or so, he and his wife have been taking a break, with no obligations to one another. During that time, his wife and I shared a mutual friend and we began hanging out more. Eventually, I found myself caring about the relationship between my friend and his wife, and I became one of her closest friends. I genuinely became someone she could talk to, someone to listen to, and someone to vent to. At that time, I was in a relationship of my own with no connection to them. My relationship deteriorated, but not because of this. It was due to something else entirely. During a week of depression and isolation, his wife and my mutual friend came to my apartment to check on me as I had gone completely silent. I actually asked them to leave because I wanted to be alone. However, I later opened up to his wife about what I was experiencing, and she showed great empathy towards me despite her own struggles. Over time, she and I became closer as friends. Several months passed, and it was now New Year's Eve. This is when things began to take a dramatic turn. She picked both her husband and me up from work, and before dropping me off, she mentioned that it was a shame it was New Year's, and here she was with 3 men, realistically capable of getting a kiss from all of us since she was single. I laughed and told her that I did not want to interfere with her relationship with her husband, so I unequivocally declined. She dropped me off and we said our good nights. Later that night, drama unfolded. Her husband left her alone to see a side piece which I had strongly warned him against, telling him that karma would catch up to him, and she reached out to me to talk about it. She then confessed to me that she really wanted a kiss from me, a mere peck. Following that, she started sharing more with me, becoming flirtatious and more engaging. I initially refused, declined, and turned her down, but ultimately I caved. Later in January, she and I discreetly left work so I could give her the kiss she desired, after which nothing else occurred. In late February, we had a pleasant outing. I treated her to some food, not a date by any means. We were both hungry and I had the money, so I bought her some Chinese food. We had a lovely time engaging in conversation, something she rarely experiences, and she told me it was astonishing how everyone else treated her like a person, while her husband never did, always prioritizing his friends or his side piece. We just talked. Now it is April. She is still dealing with her failing marriage, attempting to salvage it. We made plans to hang out yesterday. So his wife came over to spend time with me. He dropped her off so we could relax and she could straighten my hair. After a few hours, she asked if she could take a shower. I told her I did not mind, so I got her a towel. When she emerged from the shower, she was wrapped in my towel and remarked that she had not experienced intimacy in a while. She lay down on my bed, spread her legs wide, and I found myself in a compromising position, easing her frustrations. This escalated to her riding my face, and at that point I was lost in the moment. That then transitioned into her wanting to fulfill my needs, so she climbed on top of me and we began engaging in intercourse. It was honestly incredibly intense and nerve-wracking, yet to be candid, it felt amazing. After she was atop me, I was inside her. We both grew shy and nervous, but we continued and became more heated with one another. We then switched positions. She wanted me behind her, so we ended up in the doggy position. Both of us were far gone, thoroughly enjoying each other, and her expressions indicated that she was enjoying me as well. We continued for about 40 minutes to an hour. She wanted me to climax, and I fought it with every ounce of my being. Eventually, we paused, both overwhelmed with exhaustion and plagued by headaches. She then went to take another shower to clean up from our activities, especially after how much I had her climaxing from oral pleasure. I know I am in the wrong for going behind my friend's back, but a true friend would have listened not only to my advice, but also to his wife's advice and needs. She is planning to leave him for good once she can stand on her own financially. I am not trying to steal her away in the slightest. I just hate to see her unhappy in a relationship that clearly is not working.